a recap of sets. So what you should know by the end of this recap video is you should be able to define what a set is. You should be able to identify if a group of objects is a set or is not a set, and you should be able to list the elements of a set using correct notation. Now, if you want to define a set, it's very straightforward. A set is a group of well-defined objects. So this means that first of all, you can list all of the objects in the set, and second of all, the person next to you and the person down the road and the person in a different country can also list the set of objects, and there'll be agreement between the two of you. So you will list a set of objects, someone else will list a set of objects, and all of those objects will be the same inside the set. So let's have a look at a few examples. So the letters in the alphabet. Well, can you list all the letters in the alphabet? And can the guy down the road list all the letters in the alphabet? And the answer is yes. So in Ireland or in England, then you could say that the letters in the alphabet form a group of well-defined objects, so they will be considered a set. Okay, the next one. What about bad tasting fruit? Well, you first have to ask yourself, can you list all of the bad tasting fruit? You probably can. And then second of all, would the guy next door list the same bad tasting fruit? And he probably wouldn't. So as a result, bad tasting fruit cannot be considered a set because you and somebody else will not be able to list the exact same types of fruit. Okay, how about the students in 1A30? So would you be able to list all the students in 1A30? You would, so that's the first criterion ticked off. And the second criteria is would somebody else in the class or somebody else that passed by the room, would they also be able to list the names of all the students in the class? And they would. So they're a well-defined object. As a result, the students in 1A30 can be described as a set. Okay, what about all old people? Well, first off, you and somebody else would consider a different age to be old. For example, you might consider me to be old. I would say I'm not. So we disagree on what is old age, and you can't define the objects in that set correctly. So it's not, sorry, you can't define those objects accurately, so it's considered not to be a set. Okay, and all of the natural numbers. Is it or isn't it a set? So first you have to ask yourself, can you list all of the natural numbers? You can. And second of all, would somebody else list the exact same numbers? Yes, they would. So the natural numbers can be defined as a set of numbers or a set of well-defined objects. Okay, how about these? What about all numbers between 1 and 20? Can it be described or written as a set? The answer is yes, because A, you can list them all, and B, your list and somebody else's list would be the same. So that's true for the first one. The second one, the list of people that I like. Well, first off, that changes on a day-to-day basis, I'm guessing, and the list of people that you like and how someone else sees that situation will be different, so you can't describe it as a set. So the people I like cannot be described or written as a set. The third example, the 3 best teams in the world. So first of all, can you list them? You probably could list them, but your 3 best teams and somebody else's 3 best teams would be different, so it cannot be described as a set. And then finally, letters in the word alphabet. Would you be able to list all the letters in the word alphabet? Yes, you would. And if you ask somebody else to list them, would they list the same thing? They would. So the letters in the word alphabet can be described and can also be written as a set. Okay, about now you might want to pause the video and attempt some of the textbook questions or some of the worksheet questions. I'm going to go on to the next part of it. All right, listing elements of a set. So there are 2 things to remember when you're listing the elements or the parts of a set or the constituents of a set. 1, the listings have to be inside these curly brackets, and 2, you need commas. Now 3 then, all elements appear once and only once. So what you need to remember when you're listing the elements, the curly brackets on either side of the list tell you that you're looking at a set. Each element is separated with a comma, that's what the first line is saying there. And the third point there, all elements appear once and only once. So let's list a few elements of the set. So the letters in the word alphabet. So first of all, you need to have curly brackets around it. You need to list the letters once and only once, and they're separated with the commas. And as a result, you'll see that we only have one A in the set, which is the thing in the curly brackets, whereas the word itself has two A's, because remember, all elements only appear once and only once. All right, numbers between 1 and 5. All right, a bit of thing about language here. There's the numbers between 1 and 5, but they don't include 1 and 5. And I should have said natural numbers here between 1 and 5. So the natural numbers between 1 and 5 would be in the curly brackets. Each number will be separated by a comma, and the numbers will be 2, 3, and 4. They appear once and only once. Okay, third example. The natural numbers between 1 and 3 inclusive mean that 1 and 3 are included. So you'll have curly brackets, you'd have 1, 2, 3. Okay. And the last one, if you were asked to list all natural numbers, you'd have to have the curly brackets. The first natural number is 1, then you'd have 2, 3, and you would keep going. And to represent the fact that the list continues on following a natural pattern or progression, we would just put ... there. So that's a list of all the natural numbers. All right, so we have done what is a set, as in what is definition, how to identify whether something can be written as a set, and we've also done how you list the elements of a set. Right now I'd go back to the textbook and I'd do some of the questions on how listing the elements of a set.